Hey guys, in this video I want to go ahead and continue working on some partial fraction decomposition. This time we're going to be working on what we call repeated quadratic factors. So hopefully you've been keeping up and working with us. So let's go ahead and do this one here. Now you notice we're going to go ahead and separate this one, okay? And remember, the first thing you want to do is make sure that the numerator is less of a degree than the denominator. In this case it is. This is a fourth degree. The only thing is, you notice here it's repeating, and we talked about repeating linear factors before. You have to account for that linear factor twice. So here we're going to go ahead and separate this guy, okay? So it's going to be x squared plus 1, okay? And then you have to do x squared plus 1 to the second power. So you notice how I had to do the degree of 1 and then do the degree of 2. And if this was a cubic, then I would do a degree of 3. Okay. Now you have to understand this is a quadratic, so that this guy up here has to be 1 degree less than the denominator. So if this guy's a quadratic, that means this guy is going to be a linear. We call it ax plus b. And this guy is another quadratic, so this guy's going to be a linear over here. So this is going to be cx plus d. Okay? And what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to simplify it together, and then we're going to go make a system of equations and be able to solve it. Okay? So if you notice, we're going to go ahead and multiply by the least common denominator. In this case, it's going to be x squared plus 1 to the second power. So knowing that, so we're going to distribute. This guy cancels out. We're left with the 8x squared plus 11. One of the x squares is going to cancel out. So we're left with ax plus b times one of the x squares plus 1 plus, and right here both of them cancel out, if you notice that, and then you're going to be left with cx plus d. Alright, so that cleans it up a lot. Now I have to go ahead and distribute this, okay, and then we're going to go ahead and try to combine like terms. So 8x squared plus 11 is right here. We're going to get ax times x squared. We're going to get ax cubed. Ax times 1 is going to give me ax. B times x squared is bx squared. B times 1 is b. This guy over here on the right, cx plus d, that's already done for me. Okay, so that's nice. So now I'm going to go ahead and try to combine the terms. So if you notice, I have 8x squared here plus 11. So there's no other cubic, so we're just going to leave it ax cubed. We have a square, so we have plus bx squared, and then you have ax plus cx. Okay, so we're going to put that together, ax plus cx. Okay, and then we're going to go put b and d together, plus b plus d. Alright, and what I'm going to go ahead and do, there's no cubic that I can combine with, there's no other square, but I can go ahead and factor out right here an x. So let me go ahead and put ax cubed plus bx squared. Factor out an x, so we're going to get a plus c, and then x is on the outside, plus b plus d. And then over here on the left, we have 8x squared plus 11. So now I'm going to go ahead and create my system. Okay, and if you notice, okay, we're going to go ahead and try to match them up. This is a cubic. Is there a cubic on the left side? No, there isn't. So I'm going to go ahead and say a is equal to 0 because there's no cubic. What about bx squared? Is there an x squared here? Yes, there is. So b is going to equal to 8 because that's the only x squared. And then a plus c goes with the x. If you notice, a plus c, there's nothing there. There's no x, so we're going to have it as just 0. And then the last one, b plus d, those are my constants, so b plus d is equal to 11. So this is my system right here, okay? And now I'm going to go ahead and try to use that to solve my values. So let's see here. I know b is equal to 8, so I can go ahead and plug them in here. So b is equal to 8, so b plus d is equal to 11. b is equal to 8. So 8 plus d is equal to 11. So now d ends up equaling to the value of 3. And that's pretty good. Okay, so that's done. So I know my A, I know my B, I know my D. The only thing I'm missing is my C. So now I know A is 0, so I'm going to go ahead and do A plus C. A plus C equals 0. So A is 0, well, plus Y is going to equal to 0. Well, C has to equal to 0. And that's it. Well, it looks like that one's pretty easy. So let's go ahead and write it out. So over here, now we have the values, right? We have AX plus B. So A is my value of 0. So it's going to be 0x. What's my value of B? B is 8. And then on the bottom, I have x squared plus 1. All right. Plus the value of C. What's the value of C? C is also 0. So that's 0x. And the value of D is 3. Okay. 3 right there. And then we have x squared plus 1 to the second power. So actually, when I clean this all up, you notice it's going to be 8 over x squared plus 1 plus, and then I have a value of 3 over here, x squared plus 1 quantity squared. And that's it, guys. That's all she wrote. It looks kind of, weird, right? Because A equals 0, B equals A, but actually it works out. Go ahead and try to multiply this out, and you'll notice that that's what we'll get. Let's go ahead and try to do another one. This one, I wanted to do this one just because, we have to go ahead and factor it first. But if you notice, it has 4 terms, right? So this one, be careful when you have 4 terms, you're going to have to use factor by grouping. So if you notice from here, we can go ahead and factor out an x squared. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, x squared. So when you do that, right, so we're going to do factor by grouping like that, okay? So we're going to factor out an x squared. You're going to be left with x plus 2. Well, what about this guy? What can you factor out? You would say, oh, we can't factor out anything. Actually, you can. You would just factor out a 1. Sorry about that. You would factor out a 1, and you would end up with x plus 2. Okay, so when you factor the denominator, you would end up with, let's go ahead and do that right here. You would end up with x squared plus 1, and then you would end up with x plus 2. Okay. On the numerator, we're just going to go ahead and leave it the same, negative 2x squared plus 3x plus 4. So now that it's factored, okay, I can go ahead and do it. Now, if you notice, there's only one linear factor and there's only one quadratic factor, and that's okay. It's going to make my life easier, okay, but I just wanted to show you because sometimes we have 4 terms and students don't know how to go ahead and solve that. So now we have x squared plus 1, so that's a quadratic. That means it's going to be linear. So I have ax plus b. And now over here, this is a linear, okay? So that means I'm going to have a constant. So now we're going to go ahead and clean it up, simplify it out. Okay, and what am I going to multiply? Well, I need the denominator, the common denominator. And that's going to be x plus 2 times x squared plus 1. Okay, and that's nice because that's going to simplify a lot of it. So on the left, hopefully you guys can follow along. Negative 2x squared plus 3x plus a 4. This guy cancels. And then the x squared plus 1 cancels. You're left with ax plus b times x plus 2. And then the other one, you're left with c times x squared plus 1. Nice. So that's a lot better. So let's go ahead and continue. So you have negative 2x squared plus 3x plus 4. We're going to go ahead and distribute this. Ax times x is ax squared. Ax times 2, that's going to give me 2ax. B times x is bx. And then b times 2 is 2b. So I'm just doing the distributive property. And over here, when I distribute the c, I get cx squared plus c. Now let's go ahead and combine stuff. The ax squared goes with the x squared. So you can see the ax squared and the cx squared can go together. We're just going to put them right next to each other. Now the x's go together, so 2ax plus bx. All right, so 2ax plus bx. And then what else do we have? The other thing we have is 2b plus c. All right, so on the left side we have negative 2x squared plus 3x plus 4. And now what we want to do is create our system and match it up. So but before that, I have to go ahead and factor out this, don't I? So let's go ahead and factor out my x squared. So I'm going to put them on the right side. Plus, factor out the x, so you're left with 2a plus b. And lastly, I have the 2b plus c, which is just by itself. On the left side, you have negative 2x squared plus 3x plus 4. So that's Good. So now I can go ahead and create my system. So the x squared, you have a negative 2. So we're going to go ahead and write a plus c is equal to negative 2. The 2a plus b, that is the linear. So that's with the x. So if you notice, there's a 3 right there. And then the last one, 2b plus c, that's going to go with the 4. All right, good. So now that looks more like our system from algebra 2. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put together the first one and the last one, and I'm going to go ahead and solve. So 2a plus c is equal to negative 2. Over here I have 2b plus c equals 4, and I can't really do that, can I? I was gonna get rid of the c, but that's not going to work. So it looks like what are we going to go ahead and do? Looks like we're going to have to use some type of substitution. All right, you see this guy right here, a plus c equals negative 2. All right, so let's go ahead and take this guy right here. So we're going to rewrite him. That means c is equal to negative 2 minus a. And I'm going to use this substitution, okay? And I think I'm going to go ahead and put them right in here. Okay, so it's going to be 2b plus, instead of c, it's going to be negative 2 minus a equals to 4. So this guy is going into here, okay? So now what does that give me? That gives me 2b minus a. And then the negative 2, I'm going to bring them across over here, becomes a positive 2. That's going to give me 6. So now I have this guy here. So I'm going to get 2b minus a equals 6. I'm going to combine them. Okay, I already used the first one and the third one. I haven't used the second one. So I'm going to go ahead and use that guy right there. So I'm going to combine this guy with my middle. So let's go ahead and do 2b minus a is equal to 6. And then I have 2a plus b, but I'm going to write it as b plus 2a is equal to 3. All right. So what can I go ahead and do? Let's go ahead and multiply the top by 2, so it could cancel out with the 2a. So we're going to have 4b minus 2a is equal to 2 times 6 is 12. So now b plus 2a is going to equal to 3. And that's nice. That's going to give me 5b is equal to 15. And I love it when I get those whole numbers. B is equal to 3. Nice. All right. So now I know b is equal to 3. So right away, I can go ahead and figure out my a. Let's see. B is equal to 3. I can go ahead and use probably this guy right here. So let's see here. 2a plus, instead of b, right? You notice that b right there. 3 is equal to 3. Okay. Well, that's kind of interesting, because now you have 2a is equal to 0. I guess apparently a is equal to 0. So I got my a, I got my b. Now I just need to find my c. And that's not going to be very difficult. I can either use this guy on the top or this guy on the bottom. It doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and use the bottom. 2b plus c. Let's do some algebra. So 2 times b, 2 times 3, plus c is equal to 4. C is equal to, this is going to give you 6, and minus 6 on this side is going to give you negative 2. Great. So now I got my a, my b, and my c. So my a is 0, so it's going to be 0x plus my value of b is 3. Okay, so that's going to give me over the x squared plus 1. All right, now plus, and then my c. What's my value of c is negative 2. So negative 2 over x plus 2. All right, and of course you don't have to write the 0 with the x. And it would be 3 over x squared plus 1 plus negative 2 over x plus 2. All right, nice.